Hello, welcome to Follow Everton. Have I switched sides? But welcome
Yep.
to Follow Everton. This is the match preview for Everton versus Roma, and today I have some great company with me. As you can see, it is Mr. Chris. How are you, Mr. Chris?
Hello. So my house gets more and more Spartan, but at least the one positive, my new laptop came in. So if I'm playing around with the settings, so anyone on the forums here, if the audio is coming through funny or if there's any
No
recommendations
problem.
for the viz, let me know. But I'm quite excited. I was playing around with being able to do screen share and all this just beforehand. So hopefully, David B says Aussie, yeah. At the moment I'm the only Chris, but I was the second Chris, so hence Aussie Chris.
Yeah, you can just go back. You can just go to Chris now. Actually, to be fair, Chris Goodman's long gone. He's even unfollowed us on social media, so he's not coming back at any point. You may just change yourself to the Chris.
The Chris.
Everything's holding up really, really nicely at your end with the audio and the picture, and you're smooth, very smooth, which is something we should certainly raise a bottle of water to, because we had some technical difficulties at your end. So your new, very expensive laptop, not paid for by the VIP membership, may I might add, but really good to see you in full flow. So Everton are playing Roma on Saturday. A game, unfortunately, I won't be able to go to due to work, and a game you unfortunately won't go to because you're in the process of moving from America to Australia and doing a tour of Europe, some fantastic places. But still have a good opportunity to of course, check in with the Blues on Saturday in this fixture. And be nice for Everton to go into the final game, sorry, the first Premier League game with a bit of confidence, having scored a few goals. Maybe a goal from open play, perhaps, Chris?
Well, I didn't see any of the 6 goals that were behind closed doors, but I'd have to imagine some of them against Motherwell must have been open play. If did Beto score 2? Mope may
Yes.
have got one.
Yes, they were some open play goals, sorry, involved there.
So I would, I guess the real question, well, I guess there's a couple talking points for this. We could talk about Roma, how they came, how they've done last season, how they're usually around the fringes. We could talk about the awkward setup of it's kind of like planning a date and then you get stood up, but you're still meeting your Ryan's blacked out his curtains. There we go. So we could also talk about the awkwardness of, hey, we're gonna hang out with Dan Friedkin's group. Oh wait, they're not here, but we've still got something on. It's like you're having a follow up date after you've broken up. It has that kind of feeling. But we can also spin it on, hey, this is going to be the closest to Premier League standard we'll get to see. Even for us in Everton, a lot of this was actually focused on trying to get players up to full fitness. And as you've said before, it's fitness when you lose. It was intentional when you win. But the reality is, if they're doing double gaffer days throughout the week, and it is an exercise, if you lose, does it really matter other than that the Everton fan base is spending 8-9 quid to watch it? Yeah, frustrating there. But the other point then is that this is going to be the closest to real that we're going to see. I don't know if everyone's fit and ready yet, but Matt fitness is kind of scaring me. But this should be as close to a real match that we're going to see in this preseason of a
So
Premier
first
League
of
standard.
all, charging the fans £8.99, you've got to be able to guarantee the stream works. The last match was a complete farce, although it wasn't within Everton's control. It was out of Everton's control in their defence. However, if they're branding it as a match and charging people £8.99, which is the equivalent of 3 or 4 months of Follow Everton's VIP membership, then you could at least expect the games to be taken seriously. Now, you can argue against Salford and against Coventry. We didn't really look like we were asked to do anything in those matches. So, they should have been paying us to watch those games. But they are matches, you like to say. These are games. They've got to be taken seriously. I didn't like the fact the first few games were a complete joke. So I was really pleased to see in the last match against Preston, there was some sort of intensity to us, a willingness to press, a willingness to make things happen and to try and score goals, which we hadn't seen really in those other games. So I want to see more of the same for this. But it isn't a case for me of fitness if you fitness when you lose and positive when you win. I think we should be looking to try and win all of our preseason games, and it was quite embarrassing actually that we lost to Salford, Coventry, and couldn't beat Sligo Rovers. So be nice to make some amends here, Chris, against Roma, who
Mhm.
are a massive club. Let's make no mistake, they're a very big club. We thought they were going to be our sister club. I actually did purchase a Roma kit in
Oh no.
November. The No, I got it in November for my 30th birthday when I was in
Okay.
Rome.
So when you went
Um,
to Rome, not because you were excited for Dan Friedkin before it became
no, I
official.
owned the
Okay.
kit. I actually wear it when I play on the red team in Wednesday football. But the point I'm making was I was getting a little bit excited to see the two clubs. But Chris, I had my doubts. I thought, how can he possibly own Roma? A proper football club, a big club, develop a stadium from start to finish, and simultaneously get Everton to where they need to be. So would have been difficult, although I was giving the situation the benefit of the doubt and showing some excitement towards it. The fact new owners hopefully always leads to new transfers, which is all what we want. We only really care about the quality of the players. But it hasn't, it's not to be. And this game, therefore, rather than being the sister club derby match, which was weirdly organised and announced the week of that we found out that they weren't going to be a sister club, it's just a normal fixture now. It's a good team. As you said, Chris, normally on the sort of the cusp of Europe or in Europe, pushing for Champions League in Italy, but not really competing for titles, you could say. But they're still going to give us a big test. They've got some great players. I'm sure you'll bring that information into the stream.
Yeah, and I was trying to bring up I've got some of the players on my other screen here. So I think Paulo Dybala, the Argentinian, was the top scorer for them last year. We've been hearing links from about Tommy Abraham as well from Roma.
Mm.
So those two have both stood out. But
Oh,
unfortunately, with having a life outside of football, being able to keep close tabs on how well the Roma players did throughout last year, I don't have as much handle on that.
They invested quite a bit. They signed Romelu Lukaku on loan from Chelsea.
And I think
They
he's gone
all,
back though, right? He's gone back
yeah,
to yeah.
they actually can't get rid of him. They were It was Aston Villa trying to sign him. It's because of his wages. Because of his wages, he's on over £300,000 a week. But they do have some good players. Dybala, of course, you mentioned, and Tammy Abraham is a player that Everton have looked at doing business for, possibly alone. He hasn't scored a lot of goals and has had some injury problems, so could be alone. But they've got a decent squad. They're certainly Premier League standard team, Chris, better than some of the opposition will be playing for sure, and probably expect that it's not going to be easy. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't beat Roma, actually.
Yeah, and I think I would imagine they should be at a similar standard to what we'd expect from Brighton. I would imagine a different type of squad there. Their old manager was an Italian international, wasn't he? He was it De Rossi?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very
Daniela De
clear.
Rossi, yeah.
It's very clear that Everton this preseason haven't been interested in actually testing and against real top opposition to get us prepared for that level.
Hmm.
And so this is the first actual test you'd expect us to have. Although I think Coventry will probably be at least in the playoffs in the Championship this season.
And it sounds like Preston won't. I wasn't able to watch that match, and
No, they
it sounds
won't.
like the problem
They'll
I
be
was
close to the
having
bottom.
was trying to get the replay of it, and that was a challenge for me. But yeah, what I will say in the last two matches, 2 clean sheets, quite a few goals, a variety of scorers. Granted, not too many of us have been able to watch it. Quite a few of them have been from set plays. You had that Jasper Lindstrom goal. We had that kind of quick fire strike from Jake O'Brien, and then the penalty for DCL. So mostly set play, but I think it's really exciting to see Jake O'Brien on the score sheet in quick succession here. So I think that's promising. Someone kind of quick footed, maybe a little bit faster footed in those situations than a Tarkovsky or Branthwaite. But yeah, I guess the other question: have you heard what's up with Branthwaite? Is he just taking it precautious again? Because I'm really worried if he does not start tomorrow, Saturday, they're gonna tease him back in just like they did last season. It'll
Yeah,
be Keenan Tarkovsky or something like that to
he's
start the
got
season.
he's got he's had an injury, a small minor injury. He's had an operation. and won't be available until they said possibly touch and go for the start of the Premier League season. But you'd imagine on Saturday it will be Tarkowski and O'Neill in there. And really, with the injuries we've got, I can tell you, I think, who's available and who isn't. So, based on the information that we've got, it would be Mikalenko, Tarkowski, O'Brien, and Coleman or Young, unfortunately, at right back. But the back four, resembling more of a Premier League sort of standard of defence. Holgate, Keane, thankfully won't be, in that mix. And Pickford will come straight in back as a goalkeeper. In midfield, he's got quite a few options to choose from. Jack, do nothing but run around headless chicken Harrison. Or you can have Dwight, do nothing, McNeil on the left. So you've got your option of your two wingers who haven't really, I'll be honest with you, done anything in preseason to impress anyone. No goals, no assists, not a lot of going on with them too. Let's hope they can step things up and find some consistency. Now there's pressure for places. Did you just want to interject there, by the way?
Yeah, so you're doing a little breakdown there, but I guess my question to you is, and it kind of goes to what we've said previously. Duggan's made some comments about some weaker opposition, and if we are losing matches, because they are friendlies, what really matters is how we play. And we've started getting results here at the end when I haven't watched them, but it didn't seem, other than let's play more like kind of direct through the middle instead of long balls. I wasn't noticing that was the main tactical difference. But on a match like we're going to see on Saturday, what things would you like to see to give you confidence on how we are going to approach the season? Either the lineup and how they gel, or what do you need to see on how we play that gives you more confidence than where you're at right now?
Continue to press high up. To not just play a passive game of football where we don't press as a unit or we just sit back. I know there's a time and a place for pressing and a time to drop back and be compact into your shape, but I'd like to predominantly see when the opportunity is there for us to go and press, play with speed and intensity as well. And the variation in play, so mix up some long balls, but also be able to get the ball down the wide and get a full back bombing on and trying to create something to get crosses into the box, which we haven't really seen in pre-season. It's been typical pre-season, not really a style of play. So I'd like to see us actually get down the wings, try and cross the ball in, and play to the strengths of the forwards we've got instead of continuing to lump it forward and just hope they can make something out of nothing. I just would like to see that, and that would give me more confidence with the lineup. Just coming back to it again, just would like to possibly see Illiman and Jai in the number 10 role. So he's one who is still available. Jasper Lindstrom available as well. So if in Jai is fit in the 10 role, I'd give him a go. I'd also start Lindstrom on the right. I don't care for seeing Jack Harrison. I know what he's offering at the moment, and his £100,000 a week salary isn't really offering much. And James Garner won't be available, so it looks like it's probably going to be a choice of Tim Orenbugen or Idrissa Garner Gay. There isn't really any options in there at the moment with Jimmy Garner's injury and Onana sold. So that is a bit of a stress. Of course, you've got Decore as well, but for me, I don't think he's a natural. And he's back, by the way, Decore. But he's not a natural sort of central midfielder anymore. I just think he's too ill-disciplined in that midfield and he gives the ball away too much. I never feel like I've got complete trust of what he's actually going to do in there. And up front, you've got a couple of options. You've got Mopé, Beto, and Calvert-Lewin. Neither of them really are doing an awful lot for me of convincing that they're going to score any goals next season. And actually, that's the worrying thing. We would have loved to have had a preseason where they're just banging them in for fun, and you can go, right, these strikers, we're going to back them for one more year, and then we're going to, if it doesn't work, then we can rip it up. But really, we've seen nothing of it. That makes me think that nothing's going to change up front. And then you get tempted to be like, well, could we get rid of both of them and start again and get one striker? Could we get rid of all three and just get one actual striker who can actually score goals, who stays fit and is dependable and ruthless? I was watching clips, Chris, of Yakubu for Everton, and Louis Sahar. He went on a bad spell, actually, Louis Sahar. But the technical quality, the Kubu's composure in front of goal, the way he was able to do a fake shot on his left foot, but he'd then sort of take it onto his right in that motion. and then finish with his right foot. So he opens up to shoot with his left, moves it onto his right, and then just slots it in. And he just sort of like so composed, made it look so easy. Lukaku, everything he touched went in the goal. And we
For us, not everyone else.
and players, I start even reminiscing about likes of Andy Johnson. I just don't think we've got forwards, top end strikers who can score. Maybe they're great upper body strength, pace, athletic, good leap on them, intelligent even, but they don't finish. So there's a temptation there to shred up that front three, bring in one striker or two strikers. But it's not. I don't think that's going to happen. I just think if we sold Beto, we're not going to have any money to bring in another striker. Although they could do something quite clever there. Could you sell Beto 30 million, get 15 million up front, 15 million next season, and then go and buy a striker 15 million and 15 million? Whereas the deal we've got with Udinese, we actually are so staggered with the payments that we'd probably have more cash flow coming in if we could trade him. I just don't think anyone's going to do that. But look, you've got options. You've still got injuries, sorry. Those injuries are to Jared Branthwaite. Keane's a doubt. But players are coming back. James Garner in that midfield. The wingers are all apparently available. And the other injury is Nathan Patterson. That's glaring. That's
and
a
use of
worry,
Chimitti's
really.
surgery as well.
And Chimiti. So the Patterson one is the biggest concern because I would have loved to have seen him in pre-season just get all the games as a starting right back and let's assess if he's any good. And then at this point now, we would have made a decision and said, look, you've either stunk the place out in pre-season, not impressing behind closed doors. Sorry, mate, we're going to sell you and bring in a starting right back. But we're none the wiser. And this is the problem you've got with Patterson. And when he comes back, are we going to be able to throw him into a Premier League game? Is he going to? He's not going to do it. He's going to stick with Young, and then you've got someone like Delhi again. Another situation. He's still not fit. He's not going to be able to be trialed in a Premier League match because that's against the rules. He'd have to be under contract. He'd have to be in the 25-man squad. Have we missed the boat with him? Is it too late? You know, so many things in there, Chris. So many things I've mentioned, but
yeah. So I'll bring up a couple points because I think what you're looking to see, I think matches a lot of what I would like to see. Generally speaking, the right back situation come the first day, I don't think we have any decision to make. It'll be Seamus Coleman if he's fit. I can't see anything else there. So outside of that, I want to see a Tarkovsky and O'Brien pairing. O'Brien on that left side and how he interacts with Mikolenko. I agree with Ilman and Jai playing in the 10. Give
just to see
Decore and
him.
his sorry,
because we know what Decore does in the 10.
yeah, there's no
He's
surprise there.
decent, but yeah, he's very decent. But we've signed this player. Give him a go in the 10.
So I think in Jai there, I want to see Eric Bunham playing along Idrissa Gana Gay, one being robust and one playing back
No
and
choice
seeing
there.
how they can gel. And then out on the right, Jasper Lindstrom. It sounds like he likes to be more of an inverted winger, but if we pull him to the right just to see how he does, then that gives us an opportunity to see Harrison maybe do something different on his natural left foot for once and give Dwight a rest.
Okay, I'm open to that. Yeah.
And
Thing
then
is, I want to see the fullbacks get forward.
Mhm.
You know, you want to see some combination play with the wingers to create chances to cross the ball.
Yes,
And
we do.
I'm not convinced either of them, either fullback on the right at the moment who are fit, Coleman or Young, can do that. Which is
Yeah, I
why
don't.
it's a shame about Patterson. And on the left, I
Mhm.
know what Mikolenko does.
Yeah, it's going to be through balls in the channels. And then I guess up front, we know what DCL's looking rusty, but at least he got his first goal. I actually would think it'd be kind of interesting to see with Njai, knowing that he's kind of a possession-based player. Does he hold onto the ball well enough to do a nice release down a channel for Beto to run onto it, knowing that he can't time his runs that well? Like, does he kind of like foster a better through ball relationship and doing stuff like that? That's kind of what I would like to see. And where I started with all this, okay, if Pickford's back, great, but he'll be back for day one or match one. I would like to see Roman Dixon start at right back.
So would I, but I'm also being semi-realistic to try and set some expectations for the people
Well, if
watching.
Patterson's not going to play, Roman Dixon might be who else? Okay, it's either like
So you could go
Coleman,
full
Young.
strength. You could go really full strength.
Yeah,
And then just have that one player at right back to see if he can kind of.
Well, that's kind of what I was doing there because I would
Yeah.
rather O'Brien. You could say Beto or DCL. It depends on who you talk with, but it's a toss up depending on form for both of them. But typically DCL is a little better. You would say Decore starts over Njai, but that's kind of up to how you want to play it. So I think the only real difference would be do you put Decore in front of Eric Bunham or something. But generally speaking, I think what I said would be a pretty close to starting
Mm,
11 that you would accept on the first match day, right? Outside
mm,
of Coleman for Dixon. So maybe
mm.
we just throw Dixon in and see how he
I,
fits.
I quite like what I've seen from Tim. I just want to touch on one thing. I think your back four is okay. Patterson, sorry, Tarkovsky, O'Brien, Mikalenko, Pickford, and Coleman or Young. It's okay. The weak
Mhm,
link is obviously at right back, and you could argue about Mikalenko's limitations. But that back five with Pickford, it's not going to concede a lot of goals, I don't think. And Branthwaite will is equally, or if not better, than the two of the centre backs. So I'm not worried about the defence.
mhm,
But in midfield, I'm worried about the wingers. Lindstrom is a risk, Premier League, physically quite slight. Is he going to get bullied quite a lot in the games? I'm sensing a bit of a De La Feu kind
mm.
of build from him, but I hope he's got the speed and intelligence to combat that, and of course scoring goals and assists. So I'm excited about him. In Jaya, I'm what I've seen in preseason before is a bit of hasn't really done an awful lot. Nice bits of skill, but haven't really come off, or little things that made you think, wow, but not really anything at the end of it. So let's hope he can kind of settle down and see whether we can get some. Maybe it'd be nice for him to get a goal or an assist, or just for Everton to have a match where they play quite a settled football match, get on the ball, nice passes, keep it, not just chip it in behind the opposition fullback and hope someone runs onto it like we've been doing. Play a little bit of football and use your actual decent footballers like NJ, and let's see what he can do. But I want to see how he gets on. I've still got question marks over him. But my main really there were so many fucking worries because I think about up front. But the midfield, I don't think you can replace Amadou Onana and stick in Tim or Burnham and say that he's the replacement for Onana. When you watched him, he's done well, but then he's losing the ball in the middle of the pitch and
Mhm.
Everton getting done on transition. And you think you can't do that at Premier League level. But then you've got some neat and nice touches of play and some good at holding the ball. And yeah, I just think we're really short in that midfield. And we've if we don't sign one more player, it's just got to be central midfield. We've got to be no weaker than we were last season.
Yeah, and well, Onana, like I think if especially once you see him play internationally and know his role, it's a little, it's a little bit different than a Declan Rice or a Rodri, but it's not that dissimilar. Stays back, has amazing recovery tackles, and then occasionally has excellent distribution, but it's day by day and how the fluidity of the Everton squad and how they can create opportunities for him to actually break lines. But the reality is, yeah, he isn't here. We can be worried about Eric Bunham, but the question is, if we have to test ourselves in a match like this to see are they up for it or not, we know what Coleman and Young bring to the table. We know what Harrison and McNeil bring to the table. We know
Mm.
what Decore brings, assuming his legs are with him. So within reason, we have some of the regulars that we know are going to play. I don't want to see Holgate, right? Like, don't he should not be
Holgate
playing.
and Mope will both be sold.
That's the hope, but until it's happened, it isn't official, is it? So hopefully they are bench players that don't get
What you're
utilized because
saying is
yeah,
we don't know about Lindstrom, we don't know about Illiman and Jai. We need to see them.
how do they really gel with the squad and give us confidence as fans to see how they integrate? Because they are exciting, but I don't really know how they fit, or are they just going to be the next? Who do we? Arnott Danjuma. They're on the bench. They're not
But,
utilized. I
mm,
don't. It doesn't feel that way, but I want to see how they would integrate so that
I
when we
do. I
hit
mean, they
Brighton.
were both flops last season, and so they need game time. I want to see them against Roma,
Mhm.
and just take a chance on it. And is Dyche really going to change his style of play to away from the long ball by putting them to him in as well? Are they good enough footballers? Are we going to be suddenly good enough at football to actually score? The thing is, if we can retain our ability to score goals from set pieces,
Mhm.
that defensive solidity and press that we had last season, but add in a bit of a spark from open play where we're not just scoring from set pieces and when we rob the ball high up the pitch and on opposition mistakes, then we'll have a better season than last season because we weren't scoring enough goals. But will these individuals make us weaker at doing the things we were good at last season? That is the concern.
Okay, so you're saying, are they going to make us weaker in the things we were good at? So if Branthwaite does not come back, and I guess it kind of come into Peter Duggan's point about Tarkovsky. Tarkovsky might be like 1% less than what he was last year solely by age, but that isn't always a deciding factor. Maybe he converts his golden opportunities when he wins a header in the box and puts a few more in the back of the onion bag this year. That would be like, I certainly see that happening. But if we want a strength, it would be, how do we get O'Brien into that into the speed of the Premier League? Tarkovsky kind of interchanges with him, and Branthwaite is there.
We could go to
Mikulenka has, sorry.
if you've got all three centre backs fit, I wouldn't
Hmm.
be adverse to seeing a five at the back with the two full backs high and wide, and
Hmm.
then two defensive midfielders. And I can't remember how many players I've got left, but then I think Lindstrom and Njai can play as false tens behind a striker.
Yeah, I think the does Coleman play high enough to do that,
No,
or would Young do it? The reality is, I'm kind of in my head, would Lindstrom uh, uh, do that? But I think he plays too high up to be a wing back in any sense. And McNeil has done it not effectively. Right around the time of what was it, Bournemouth, trying to make sure we stayed up, he was kind of playing as a wing back out of necessity, I think, at the very end of that season. But
mm,
we could try that on the left that way, but I'm not sure who the right option is.
yeah, I think this is a good opportunity as
Yeah.
well, just to invite people to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. If you're watching back, it'd be great if you can hit the subscribe button. Close to 3,000 subscribers, or actually 2,800. So if you're new, uh, hit the subscribe button, please. That would be fantastic. Me and Chris are leading the coverage this season, and I do have to extend our thanks to both Dave Weston and Robbie, who have retired. They've left the channel, and we wish them the best for the future. But that now means, Chris, there's an opportunity for a new pundit to join.
Hmm.
And we're looking for someone with a bit of charisma who can sit and talk about the Toffees. You don't necessarily have to be a match goer home and away. In fact, we'd actually prefer you not to be a home and away match goer, so you're around to help us with the coverage. It doesn't matter whether you're a boy or a girl, what demographic you come from, or where you live in the world. But if you're interested and you think you can talk on camera and interact with us and our other contributors, then send us a message on Twitter. Search for @followeverton on Twitter and drop me a DM, and we'll ask you to send us a little clip of yourself and go from there. So there's space open, Chris, for another fan or
Yep.
two potentially to join. Anything you're particularly looking for when it comes to, you just want someone who's going to make you laugh, maybe?
Well, yeah, and what we had, the two hard fellas who introduced Chad to the Follow Everton panel when he came on, and I think it would be, and honestly, if you're interested, like really good dialogue and chat, and I think what you were saying, Ryan, especially if I'm going back to Australia, the time zones may not always line up. So someone that is not always going to the home matches in particular, so is available for those post match reactions, has some heart to it,
Mm,
and can kind of roll with the chaos of football and dynamic. Boom, there's a trade. Let's talk about it. And
yeah. I'm particularly looking at some of the people on X watching now. There's 118 people on X, perhaps, if you're interested. People have found us before and reached out to us, and we thought they were suitable for it. And of course, I'll do some digging around, finding people. But once again, Chris, I think we should just extend our thanks to Dave and Robbie,
mhm,
because they were great contributors for last season. So thank you very
yeah,
much to those two. And we look forward to making some new friends ahead of the new season.
yeah, and I hope those for both. I nearly said Dave and Wes there. I meant Wes and Robbie. That they get a good enjoy their time off the show. I know Robbie's quite a enthusiastic granddad and really loves spending time with those kids. And I know that's a big thing for him, and hopefully he enjoys football. And if he
Mm.
has to every time there's a loss, he can go in and what do you call it? Like he'll build something in the house. So hopefully he continues
Yeah,
that tradition.
he wasn't watching many of the games towards the end of last season anyway, and I think he's got a lot of stuff going on. They both have, and retiring, I think makes sense for them now. And some new faces will come in ahead of the new season. Um, I can confirm for those interested who's staying on for next season. We've got myself, we've got Aussie Chris, Stevie and David, my two brothers, will be back for next season, and Yandalf will be with us for next season. And of course, Mr. Mabsy, and wonderful to have Chad back again next season. So nice mix of people there. What was I going to say? I've completely lost my train of thought.
Well, actually, I will bring up this. You're talking about people feeling worn out at the end of the season. I think for a lot of us, it was we knew it was over, and we had a few weeks to get a suntan or be on the proverbial beach. How do you feel? Do you have energy for this new season? Are you feeling like? Is it simply, well, whatever happens this weekend in the
Can I be
Roma
honest?
match will give you confidence? Is it, well, if we get bought out and it's someone like a Friedkin, you're okay again? What's your kind of feel on it?
I'm looking forward to watching a bit of football again. I miss football. I'll be completely honest. I just want to get through this season. I actually don't care that it's the last at Goodison Park, because I'm not convinced we're all of a sudden going to be playing this outstanding, beautiful game of football. I think we're going to be in a scrap again at the moment. Sort of 12th, 13th, 14th, thereabouts. I'd hope we can push for top 10. But the reason I'm not getting too excited, Chris, is I just don't think we've got the number 9 who's going to bag you 20 goals. If you stick a Lukaku in there who gets 20 goals, Everton are finishing in Europe next season with the rest of the players that they've got around them. That's the one thing that's holding them back. And I just don't understand why we're not investing every penny we've got this season, this transfer window, not on a player, but actually a striker coach, someone who's going to come in and help get these guys get that composure and help us with the forward play. David Moyes, you around? He wasn't too bad at helping the wingers get in little good crossing areas Timmy Cahill, do you fancy it? But you know what I'm trying to say. So I am looking forward to it returning. I am not setting my expectations too high. I want to set my expectations high, but I think this season is just about getting to Bramley-Moore in one piece. What about yourself?
So, yes, I'm really excited that football's back. There's nothing quite like reading the next Goodison news article that's just some kind of like
stop quoting them.
Oh, just all these
Not
fringe groups
real.
bringing up stuff that isn't. It is basically not real. What's the newest link? And you're like, ugh, really again? I just want something solid that I can talk to instead of just spam hitting your account because you're just looking for something to do. So I'm really looking forward to actually watching matches again, and even being able to watch a replay of the match that doesn't cost $8.99 a round. It'll be excellent. I enjoy watching Premier League more broadly. I enjoy doing fantasy Premier League as well. So I've been paying attention to that. So
Get Mamsy to
kind
hurry
of
up,
seeing how that
going. People
yeah,
are
we're going to
waiting.
be bringing the league back up for everyone listening. Mabs is going to send out a link here shortly. So for me, what I think will be interesting this year, hopefully, is it's a more competitive bottom of the table. Meaning, yes, we got by with the points deduction, but what did we get in the end when we took away if we didn't get a points deduction, we would have ended up like 12th or 13th. 50?
I think we might have had 50 points without the points deduction, something like
So
that.
Okay. So if we got 50 points again this season, I think we probably would be in a similar spot. I think it's just a more competitive. I expect it to be more competitive with Leicester coming back up. We don't have a Derby County 2.0 in the case of Sheffield. Is this what? No, what we got here? Well, DCL on a one-on-one, that is certainly correct. We've seen some shockers already.
His head's not there. Just his head's not there. See,
Yeah.
we're linked with Bilal Toure again at Atlanta. I'd take him on loan. Although
Oh, but do
they're
we
all
do a
flops.
swap deal? Isn't that who's looking to
No,
get?
that's not happening.
No,
Tammy Abraham, we also asked for, but are we? Do you think we're waiting for a player to come in before we sell DCL, or there's just no offers for him?
that's a great question.
Price
The
is going
other
to go down.
because DCL, there's all this conversation about Newcastle, but Newcastle just was it a striker they signed? They got the new signing just came
No,
through today.
but I can see Isak going to Man City, and then them
Hmm.
having some money. But I don't think they'd choose DCL out of all those players.
No, well,
I want DCL to go to somewhere like Bournemouth or Fulham, but I just don't think he'd go there because the clubs are small. With all
because
due respect.
there is a couple vacancies that will make the top the. It's weird to say top levels like we're not related to Spurs anymore, but that's the reality. It sounds like Solanke might be going to Spurs. And I'm not sure if it's gone
Mm.
through. If that happens, that could be pretty interesting. The
Or
fact that
Ivan Toney.
or Ivan Toney and Alvarez leaving Man City for I think it was Atletico.
Mm,
Oh, he's gone away. So there's
mm.
actually a vacancy for in the Man City squad for someone, unless you put Foden in that role, but he doesn't lead the line that effectively. He needs to be a bit further back. So they're going to look for someone else. So is everyone waiting for a set of dominoes to kind of maneuver around, and all of a sudden DCL fills in for somebody?
Yeah, drop the prices. I think DCL's worth about 25 mil. Bear in mind, we got 22 for Iwobi on deadline day with 1 year left on his contract. So, DCL's probably worth about that.
Yeah. So what are we? So assuming that Everton might be on the, I don't think we're relegation fodder, but when we don't score enough that I'm confident.
Let's have this conversation again next week ahead of the Brighton game.
Okay.
And assess the Roma match, see whether we do any more business. Rather than we'll do a preseason, we'll do a Premier League prediction and
A
assess the
Premier League
squad.
pre-match.
We'll discuss the squad and where we're at with it. But for now, I think Roma present a good test. I think we both agree that we'd like to see players we excited by, Rum Dixon, Njai, Jasper Lindstrom, because we don't know what they're going to do and we need them to gel and we want to see whether they can bring us some excitement. So that's what we want from the Roma game and the style of play to evolve and to win and to do our best.
It'd be interesting to see Harrison Armstrong get 30 minutes again.
He looks quite strong and
Armstrong?
composed in midfield. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, not that one, but
not a great joke by me. It's okay.
Strong and composed in midfield and has potential. So I agree. Chris, you're going to have a friend, Adam, your friend from Australia is going to be joining you for some shows for some pre-match chats next season. I know work's going to make it difficult for you to do every one, but a couple of times a month we can expect to have some good build-up with you and Adam.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for those watching on now, I'm going to be, I can't say where I am in the world because I'm going to be moving around a bunch, but touring in Europe in a little over a week from now, I'll be in a few spots in Europe and then getting settled in Australia through October or September through November. So I'll be bouncing around time zones, but once I'm settled in Australia, probably doing pre-match content, which will be 7:30 at night to 9:30 at night, whatever if it's the early match, it's 7:30 and gets closer to midnight. If it's the main show of the week, so we'll see how it goes. I think good chance. I might do some watch-alongs. I might do. I've got the tactical analysis app back, and now that I've got a new computer that doesn't drag on, I might even be able to screen share the video feed with the annotations and talk to it. So I'm really excited to do that.
Can we expect to see some Everton shirts and stuff hung on your wall behind you?
I at the moment at home I haven't. So I can get some. I can do a Chad. I can do a hanging Chad. Bad, American joke, man.
And what's going to happen to the late night blues from the USA?
Well, I've been talking to Chad about trying to find a good time to do those, and then it's especially if Adam and I are in the same spot. Maybe it's a combination of Chad, I plus or minus Adam, and we do shows kind of like it. Maybe it's midweek, maybe it's the end of the week. I'm not sure. We'll try and fill the void of the two hard fellas as best we can, but it's a different style to it between Chad, I, Adam, but I think we'll probably have a mixed like content based on availability for all of us. And then my tactical shorts I'll certainly do, and we'll try and do pre-matches where I can. And if I've really cranking the coffee and excited at 1 a.m. to do a post match, you might see me in the state.
Flashy Original says rumour West Ham in for Decore. I don't see Decore going, mate. Honestly, can't see that at all. Dicey's not going to tell.
Yeah, could you imagine like Decore goes to West Ham? That would be fascinating.
Although
and then you have
does look like a
him
West
and
Ham player.
Antonio teaming up, and it's like this is quite the front line.
Guys, smash the like button for us. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Turn notifications on. Thank you to the Blues, Peter Duggan, Rod Ross, David B, Flashy Original. Of course, our friend Dougie is in there, and everyone else who's been in the comments. Thank you very much. I'm expecting. Hello, Toffees R Us. I'm expecting, and Taz, I can see you in there. I'm expecting the channel to grow next season. I'm expecting a lot of interest in Everton in the final season at Goodison Park, and a lot of viewers, both on Twitter and YouTube. But if you are on Twitter, would prefer you to come over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button for us. Want to get up to 2,800 subscribers as a little benchmark and try and hit 3 to 3.5 across the course of the season. And as I said before, unfortunately, Robbie and Dave have retired. They won't be with us for next season, although the door remains open. And that means we're looking for someone else, potentially 1 or 2 people to come and join us next season. You'd need a camera and a microphone or a laptop, an iPhone, those sort of things normally work quite well. And available, ideally, post-match for the home games as a bare minimum. Chris, anything else you want to touch on?
Not for right now. I'm sure we'll touch on stuff later and have predictions, but it's a week too early. I'm hopefully able to, if it's only on the Everton channel, that'll be a bit disappointing to not be able to watch it back. But similar to what the Blues said, hopefully.
If you message me, I'll help you find it.
Okay.
It's always somewhere.
It's always somewhere on the web. But yeah, this will be the first and only preseason match at Goodison this year, huh? So
we only ever have one.
Only ever have one.
It'll be the last ever European opposition at Goodison Park.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
What's your prediction?
I think 2-2.
It stinks of a draw, doesn't it? And then it stinks of a draw against Brighton.
Yeah, I mean,
stinks of a 1-1 with a DCL penalty just to keep us happy.
Well, weirdly enough, we've done well against Brighton, all things considered. We had that shocker a couple of years ago at home when we wore those kind of pink tangerine shirts with that, where they wore those pink tangerine outfits when the Adressagana Gay's back pass. But outside of that, we've been getting draws with them a lot. And they've been entertaining matches that we just let slip through our fingers. So
all wins. Oh no.
Peter, no.
And I think we might have to wrap things up here. Chris, nice to chat. I'm heading off and going to the supermarket.
All right. Enjoy the market.
It's not that exciting.
All right. Well, up the toffees and all of that.
And safe packing.
Yep. Halfway packed. Now it's the remainder of the house to sell on Marketplace.
Yeah. And if you're interested in buying anything from Chris, please
I don't do shipping.
Too far away. Although he does have a car, which someone could import if they really wanted to.
And then you have to switch the wheel to the other side of the road, other side of the vehicle. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and but you could do.
Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna smash that. I'm gonna smash the button now. 3,
2,
1. Wasn't it great to finish us? By the way, wasn't it great? No technical fucking difficulties for the entire stream. See you later, guys.
Yeah. Woohoo! End the stream.